This is tricky. We're going to lift my face. Hello, Vogue France. It's Miss Fame, and I'm getting ready for the haute couture season. So let's get into my makeup look. First things first, I'm going to just prime my eyelids. I'm using the Danessa Myricks Vision Cover Cream. It's a very full coverage cream foundation. And I'm just going to stamp the lid. And I'm going to take probably one of these neutral shades there. And I like to stamp out a little bit of a C shape on the outer corner of the eye and keep building. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder, and I'm just gonna stamp over. Just gonna kind of drag along the lash line to add depth. I'm just gonna use the back of my hand so I can distribute some of the cream product. I'm gonna smoke out that edge. You're just really wanting to kind of draw out this edge and soften the line just above the eye. I'll just take the brush I was using previously. This is a Cosette brush. It's the number 5. And I'm gonna just stipple to blend here. Let's go into kind of the cooler tone to really set the eye. But I'm also gonna concentrate it right at the lash line. From the middle of the pupil, like the center of the eye, outward and up. I don't want to take that thickness across because it'll just make the eyes a little bit like a concentrated way, and you want to add length to the eye with kind of this smoky technique. Sometimes if you want to get those inner corners, just look away from the brush. Like if your brush is here, look over there. All right, I'm going to use the Pat McGrath palette, and I'm only using one for highlighting on the lid. It's kind of like a shift shade, no brush needed. I'm going to now take some Bioderm to immediately create precise lines. Beauty Secret water. And now we're getting to something very, very technical and very personal. I'm going to be placing my facelift tapes, and I put 2 here and I put 2 here, and it all hides underneath my wig, and it does that. It opens up the face. So we're going to just wipe with alcohol. I use 99% alcohol. I get it at Alcone. I know it's like, it's this, okay. So it's an Alcone alcohol, and it's a trick from forever, but it's really a trick from the 90s that Kevin Aquan brought into the makeup world for Editorial. You don't need this if you don't need a facelift tape. It's for pro artists primarily, but just so you know, because I think sometimes it's like, how do you do it? I have secrets that are not so secret. So I'm just gonna place some product here. All right, so I'm gonna put a little bit of the glue down, and now I'm going to move into the tapes. They look like this. I've cut them, and I've also punctured them with a small needle. So they have a little bit of grip, you can see. So I'm putting product on about 3/4 of the tape because it has to kind of go over your hair. You press it and hold it and allow that adhesive to kind of go through this area that has hair. This is tricky. Right there. Because this area you really don't want visible. You need to hide that inside of the wig. And if you're doing it on natural hair, you do a center part and you can drop it and hiding the bungee cords inside, and there is a bungee system. And you pull tension with the elastic bands and they look like this. All right, I'm going to put a bit of primer on my skin now that we're in skin. I'm going to use a little bit of the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Priming Base. So I'm going to mix foundations. I like to custom blend, and I'm using the Face Atelier liquid foundation right in the palm of my hand. We'll do 2 pumps. I put Face and Body by MAC inside of this container that I got at Moji. Just they're easier to travel. It makes, I could take 2 ounces. And I'm just adding a drop because I like to shear down the foundation. And what I also like to add, because my skin is a bit dry, even though it looks really shiny, my skin is dry, I'm going to use the 24 karat Pure Gold Glow by Mimi Luzon. Put 1 drop, 2 drop of oil. And I just custom, that's what I've done for the last years, and I think it's been really benefiting my overall appearance for my skin. I'm going to use the Makeup Forever Pro Sculpting Palette, and this has a orange color corrector right here. It's like a soft salmon shade. And like a dense brush, like a shadow brush, you're just gonna kind of go. The only color correcting I really want to do is just under the eye. Back to the Shiseido and my custom blended foundation. We're gonna load the brush up like that. We're gonna start to stipple. Again, I like to do this kind of stamping effect because if you have any texture or pores, it's a great way to get that product kind of pushed into the texture of your skin, and you can blend it out with a beauty blender. So I'll use 2 tools to kind of get the overall effect. And I don't want there to be a very heavy weight to the foundation because I want it to photograph beautifully in daylight. So now I'm going to put a little concealer. I'm using my Makeup Forever, these mini, well, as you can tell, I use this shade most. We're just going to use the lighter shades underneath the eye. And for the nose, this is always the funnest part. Everybody wants to know how to do a good nose. I'm just going to swipe right down the center. And this product that's already on it is a foundation, so it's going to help merge the color. Adding some light to the top of the lip will only lift the lip when I do the lip liner. I'm going to put a little bit more brightness, so I'm going to use Chuffart Yves Saint Laurent Beauty. It's a very, very light, reflective, and very sheer product. And also in the Smile line, my favorite product is the Contour Wand by Charlotte Tilbury. Load the brush, place in the cheekbone, kind of in this hollow. When you make a funny face, you see a shadow line, that's for you. I'm just gonna kind of drop a bit of contour along the edges of the forehead because I have a very large forehead and I want to celebrate that balance because it's quite regal. Let's go for big words. I have a very regal forehead. All right, so I'm putting a little soft V of shadow right at the chin just to create a little femininity at the lower thirds of my face and a tiny bit of shadow at the bottom of my lip to add fullness. I have a full lip already, but these tricks are just for fun. Now I'm blending in that Chuffart that I placed earlier. It had a chance to kind of marinate and blend into my skin. We're gonna blend this out. Now we're gonna get rid of all that. We're just gonna take the edge of the Beauty Blender and press it down in a narrow way and tap along that line. See? Severe, blended. Severe, blended, gorgeous. So I'm gonna use Charlotte Tilbury's Flawless Finish Airbrush Compacts in shade 1 and 2. I'm gonna use the lighter shade under my eyes. And you wanna press this into the skin to not pull away all of that concealing, all that pinpoint concealing for the dry patch I have here. Now we're gonna bake. We're gonna use Translucent by Laura Mercier, if I have any left. Same here, I'm very oily in the forehead. We're gonna concentrate a little bit of that product right in the middle of my face. All right, so now we're gonna contour with a bit of powder, and we're using a Charlotte Tilbury Duo set. I love this, it's a Film Star Bronze and Glow. And anytime that my product has a belly button in it, it's because I like it. And it's a natural hair brush. We're going to use the Kevyn Aucoin just for the nose contour on mid-tone skin. You want to use a deeper shade if you have a deeper skin tone. And they also have a lighter one if you're extremely fair. These are great because they're not excessively warm, and I need to create shadows, not warmth on the nose in order for it to look like I've got a really good nose job. I know it sounds counterproductive because I said accepting our beauty as it is, but you can still enhance your beauty if it's natural. You can still celebrate your beauty if it's natural. With makeup, that's the fun part. We're gonna brush it in towards your highlight and upward. You don't wanna pull the face down, you wanna lift it up. Eyelash curler. I'll even use my Byredo mirror. I'll have false lashes on, but still, you kind of want to make sure that you've got a good base supported. We're going to use a Charlotte Tilbury eye kohl, and this is called Rock and Kohl. I'll just go back to my previous eyeliner, which is in Coffee by MAC. This is not going to dry down, and I'll put it on the back of my hand as a blending, kind of a transition shade. This is gorgeous. Let's use the My Kiko 1.16 brush, synthetic, massage in those hairs to blend out the smokiness. You can pull a little bit of the excess to smoke out the top lash line. Adding this weight line adds size to your eye. If you see it, look how tiny my eye looks with just that black. 1.14 My Kiko brush. This is what I used on top of the lid to do blending. So we're going back to the same palette, and I'm going to use a lighter shade because I think it's going to be much gentler. Kind of underneath the eye. And kind of pull it underneath here. But very, very careful that I don't go too low because I want to keep the shape I have. And I'm using a deeper shade in this corner. It's not even a black shade, just a very dark bluish gray. Sephora liquid eyeliner, and this has like a felt tip, so it gives you a bit of precision. We're gonna try our best because these dry out. It's not their fault. I've had this for a very long time. So we're just gonna go right on that lash line, but very thin at the front. And at the end, we're going to extend it out like a little flick. I'm just going to spray it with a little bit of setting spray so it's damp. Same shadow tone I was using earlier, just here so that there's no line. This is by Rito. I'm going to kind of come into the base of the lash and wiggle up. Okay, so now we're going to do my brows. This is WVC, and we don't need to go crazy because I already have a very severe shape. We're just going to extend the tail of the brow, and I can go in and detail it with a shadow. So I'm going to switch up to Vizart. It's a neutral palette. It's all browns. I'm going to use this kind of ashy tone brown here. You could also use a sculpting powder like the Kevin Aquan. Just going to use a flat angle brush. Any one will do, and we're just going to carve out the edge of the brow. And we're going to also use the brow gel by Charlotte Tilbury, and the color is in dark brown. Love this brow gel. It gets rid of that dusty look, and it can add volume to the front hairs if you want to make it a little bit bushier, like here. I'm just going to take a little bit of a brightening powder under my eyes so that I look even more fresh than before. And it's my Kitco again, and this is my soft powder brush, and these two shades right here to kind of brighten it right under here. Now we're going to do, let's do the lips. All right, so now that my lips are cleaned, I want to just add a little bit of lip balm. So I'm using Universal Earth. This is by Makeup Forever. I'm overdrawing the top lip line. So I'm using the shape of my lip, but I'm going on the outer perimeter just to enhance the top lip. See where I've positioned a little bit more of a rounded shape versus my kind of Cupid's bow. I wanted to round and add height into the middle of the lip. We're respecting the natural lip shape here. Now we're going to grab a highlight. I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is Goldgasm. I think I might have to mix it with another shade because it's looking like it's at the very end of its life. Just a dash of the Pinkgasm. I think it's a bit too pinky, so I don't want it to become the main. Yeah, we'll mix that in there. The Beauty Blender on the clean end. Same one. Over the top of all that powder to add light back into the skin without the texture of a powder highlight. Just add a touch of light to the front of the nose, and I'm using a Pat McGrath product, but this palette is so damaged, so please disregard. I'm using the pink and gold shade, and just with the tip of my finger, I'm going to place it right at the tip of the nose right here. I need a replacement of this strap, but we're working with it. Little micro pin. We're going to go right into like that, back in the nape of the neck. Black eyelash adhesive. This is Duo. So I take just a little bead of glue along the band and just kind of bend it Like you want to bend it in a shape like so, keeping it round and using a tweezer. You kind of want to go on the outer third, so leave this area without a lash and everything else out here has a lash, and leaving the outer corner untouched. It's not against the lash line. So it's hovering, it's lifting the eye further. We're going to lift my face. We want to go to the second to last tension. Maybe we'll go to the last one. We're doing a crisscross, kind of like a rhythm here. You want to anchor it down in the top. Scandinavia, it's the bridal setting spray. Got it at Alcone, like always. All right, so now I have to go and put on my hair. All right, so I've got my gorgeous, very Chanel runway, Linda, a bit of Patsy Stone, and it's very, very cool. So I'm gonna have to bond it to my head and pin it down, but I will be back with the final look. I'm going to just do a little mole. Well, I have one. I'm just gonna darken it like that. It exists, so we're going for it. And I'm also going to make sure this makeup isn't going anywhere. So that is the final look by Vogue. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had enjoyed all of these intricate steps into my glamorous life here in Paris for the couture schedule. Big kiss and can't wait to see you soon.